Okay, so I've done it. I've ordered myself a 125 motorbike. So in this video I'm going to talk to you about bikes I considered and why I've gone for what I've gone for. Right, so this 125 journey. So I set myself a budget of around £2,500 and there's really only one main reason for this, at least in my head logically, is that's about how much money I've made from kind of selling stuff on Facebook that I didn't want anymore. So you've seen some of the old videos about things that bring me joy and stuff, so that's some money that I've been putting aside to then be able to buy other stuff that might bring me joy. So that's part of the idea for the budget, and when looking around it seemed that there was quite a few bikes on the second-hand market, just by going to Auto Trader, going kind of 125cc and then seeing what was available. So that's kind of what my plan for budget was. In terms of kind of what I was looking for, that was something I wasn't really sure about 100%. I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want a scooter or anything like that. You know, I'm in my early 40s, so I don't want the things that maybe are more acceptable if you were 16. So I started looking around and doing a little bit of research. I pretty much decided I wanted to get a second-hand motorcycle because I should be able to get the best value, you know, best bang for buck as it were. But I didn't want something really old, so something 2-3 years old, something like that, maybe just out of warranty. So I started looking around at just different kind of motorbike guides as to, you know, what is the best 125 and that kind of thing, keeping in mind that the style of bike that I like and I want to get if I kind of go further with this over time is I like the cruiser style bikes. Now the bike that originally got me interested in wanting to do biking is the Harley Sportster 48. So that's the kind of style of bike that I like, and now what I like actually is a bike that I discovered on this kind of journey is something called an Indian Scout Bomber. I think it looks super cool. So that's the kind of thing that I'm interested in, this kind of retro cool kind of styling thing. I'm not interested in sports bikes, racing bikes. I'm not interested in the speed, it's really the sound that I'm looking for. That was also something else that I didn't think there was many options with in terms of the sound of a 125, because in the end of the day it's a 125 engine, so what are you going to do? So looking at this kind of bike options, obviously there's the Honda 125 that I did my test on, and there seems to be quite a few of those around the £2,500 mark. I think it seems like a quite common, stable, sensible kind of bike. There's a kind of Yamaha kind of equivalent as well I looked at, but I don't really like those styles. So for me, that they seem more like, obviously what they are, a starter 125 bike. So then just looking on YouTube and stuff about kind of 125s that people enjoy and have fun with, was like old Triumphs and stuff like that. Now that is the kind of look that I liked, but they seem to be quite old. And even though I'm definitely not a mechanic, but I'm pretty competent over the years of kind of maintaining, upgrading and servicing my cars, but obviously never had a bike before. And I'm not trying to simplify bikes, but I think they are relatively simple, especially the kind of older, more basic stuff, especially 125. It doesn't seem too complicated. But I didn't want to kind of go, I want to get something that I can use, not something that's going to be a project to kind of make better. So a couple of other things that I found out about, people seem to really rate this bike called a Honda Grom. I can't remember what it is, that's what they call it in America. I put a picture up of it basically, but it's a kind of weird bike in terms of it's quite small. And I'm a big guy, so I think I probably look a bit stupid on it. But also it's not the style of bike that I like. But when I was kind of researching into that, because maybe that is a good bike to have, maybe the style element isn't something that I can afford to take judgment on. But these Groms are about £4,000, something like that, so more than I wanted to spend anyway. And again, it wasn't really the bike. Even if I did spend that £4,000, I don't think I'd be happy with it. So I came across another bike which looks quite similar to the Honda Grom, which is a Benelli TNT 125, and it's a lot cheaper. I think it was about £2 grand, £3 grand, can't remember. Again, it looked very similar characteristics, but obviously a lot more affordable. But again, I pretty much decided that wasn't the style for me. Then in some, I can't remember where I can't remember if it was a magazine or some video. I then heard about this make called Mutt motorcycles. Now, the name rang a bell because they seem to be quite common in the Harley Davidson scene in terms of custom bike makers, and that kind of is their history. So their history and what they're more renowned for is custom bike builds. But now they've kind of, for the last 3 years or 4 years, have been basically doing semi-affordable 125 and 250s, and I think they're working on a 400 kind of custom bikes. So they kind of get these bikes frames that are kind of more bulk manufactured, and then they customize seats, lights, and all this sort of thing to make it kind of more funky. And that is a bike that I really liked, and for a couple of reasons. One is I like the styling, but then when I looked online, there wasn't a lot of videos, but the thing that was really noticeable is the exhaust note. They've done some custom exhaust, and it sounds pretty amazing for a 125. Now again, I'm not saying it sounds amazing in terms of bikes, but for a 125 it sounds pretty damn cool. So I pretty much decided that's kind of what I want. But then looking around, there's lots of bikes, and it's in that Triumph kind of style. There's lots of bikes that seem to look very similar, but don't have the customization, and as a result of that are a bit cheaper. So like Sinis make some bikes, Mash Motorcycles make some bikes. Again, these are companies I've not heard about before, but when I researched them, they seem quite common in this kind of lower entry segment. So did some more research, went and looked at some different bikes and everything, and then was starting to look more seriously at these Mutts. I found a local dealer who had a couple, and went down there to have a listen, and it sounds much better in person than it does in the videos that I'd seen. And so that's it. I decided I want to get a Mutt motorcycle. So Mutt motorcycle 125s, they've got various models. The entry model is called the Mongrel. All of their 125s are the same. What you're paying for is different customizations. So the Mongrel is like the most basic form. Then you've got the Hilts, Fat Sabbath, and loads of other different editions that they've worked on over time. So I got interrupted by the kids. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, decided I want to get definitely a Mutt motorcycle, and I think most likely I'm gonna get a Mongrel is what I'm thinking, for a couple of reasons. One, that's the entry level one. There seems to be more of those available second hand that are a couple of years old, and the other ones have got these more knobbly tyres, and I'm not sure about those. But yeah, that was my thought process. So I started having a lot of looking around for these Mutt motorcycles, and I was seeing some that are like 2007 that were kind of in the price bracket, like early 2000s, like 2300, that kind of thing. But the thing I didn't like about them was the original Mutts, up until this year, has the speedos and the odometer in kilometres, which I'm not quite sure why, but they have. And so I've got some umming and ahhing. Basically I decided that I'd want to pay a bit extra and get a brand new one. I'll talk a bit about that in another video, because basically the short version is I've ordered a Mutt motorcycle Fat Sabbath so it all comes in matte black. I think it looks pretty mean, and that'll be delivered on Saturday because they already had it in stock. It's the latest 2019 model, so it's got some improvements and revisions which I'll talk about in the video I do about that. But I went up to Mutt Motorcycles, which I'll do a separate video on that. Met with Benny, the owner, and had a really good chat, and I went out on one of the Vat Sabbaths with the knobbly tyres. Took a few minutes to kind of get used to it because it does feel a bit different, but it was fine, and it was absolutely lashing it down with rain, so I think if I didn't fall off in the rain I should be pretty good most of the time. So that's what I'm getting, a Vat Sabbath Mutt motorcycle, 125cc, and pretty excited. So yeah, let me know comments below. Perhaps you got a 125, or tell us about the bike that you started on. Any kind of tips and suggestions. I'm going to do another video on the gear I bought, and then the last thing I still haven't made a decision on yet is what security stuff I'm going to get. So probably a couple of disc locks and a big chain to be able to secure it to things whilst I'm out and about, but still researching that. Also looked at a couple of trackers and alarms. I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it on a bike that in the big scheme of things is relatively cheap compared to other bikes. I'm not, £3,500, which is what this bike costs, is not cheap and is over my budget, but I'm not sure it's worth it. And when I spoke to my insurance company, they don't seem to be that interested in needing to have a tracker or an alarm or anything on there. And so yeah, and just if you're interested, I did a lot of looking around for motorcycle insurance, and in the end I've got fully comprehensive with Liverpool Victoria for £140 a year, which I think is pretty good considering I've got zero no claims bonus or experience with motorcycles. I think they asked me about obviously existing cars and how long I'm driving cars and accidents and that kind of thing. I think that would have helped bring insurance down as well as my age. But yeah, that's it. Let me know in the comments below about your bikes, any suggestions, tips on security devices, that kind of thing. And yeah, there'll be a couple more videos coming in short succession on my trip to Mutt Motorcycles Birmingham HQ, as well as some of the gear that's selected, and obviously then the bike when I collect it on Saturday. Can't wait.
Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.